this is a fun day. Recently I saw a post saying about winning a Bates saddle in conjunction with British Eventing, and of course, you know, I do share, like you share different posts for winning stuff, and all the equine, always equine most of the time, or farming if they happen to have any free fencing going or anything. And so yeah, I literally there was quite a few different bits that you could do to share to get the entries, so I did as many as I could on there. And I also had a look at the saddle they were advertising, which is the new latest Bates. It's called an Apex, and the idea of it is that it's kind of like a European saddle, so it's along the lines of similar to like a Devco CWD style saddle, yet it's actually a Bates, so it's actually your changeable gullet, removable girth straps, change those easily, all of that stuff that you're used to with Bates, but in a more jumping, forward cut, jumping design basically. And so I'd seen it, and anyway I shared it, and you know, you just share these things, you don't expect really anything, you know. And then literally I got an email saying, you've been selected as the winner, and I was like, eh? And I genuinely thought it was a scam, because oftentimes when you share these things you do get it back with somebody from Timbuktu normally, and they'll be like, oh, you've won, send us, you know, 800 for the shipping or whatever, and then you can get it, or send us your, you know, personal bank details and this, that and the other, and your PayPal, and do this and do that, and obviously it's a scam. So I thought it was a scam initially. Well, it turns out it wasn't a scam. Sorry to the people that first emailed me, me going like, wow, are you a scam? And anyway, it has arrived today. I didn't even know what day it was going to arrive. I was still kind of waiting for like some tracking, and then boom, it's there. Thank God you know, it was okay, because let's put it this way, the latest Bates saddle is not exactly the cheapest thing on the market, but as I say, luckily where we live is good, and we don't happen to have, you know, tons of activity of people just taking things from your porch and all of that malarkey. So very excited. This is amazing. It's pretty amazing for me to win a saddle actually, because if you know me well, you'll know that I have a huge, in fact, if there's a bigger word than huge, saddle addiction. So I literally, saddles are literally my thing, basically. I literally collect saddles, have done my whole life. Ever since, you know, the first day I could see a saddle that could be bought, I was wanting it. I think like my first saddle was probably, that I owned, I was probably like 10 maybe. I got one for Christmas, and then I still have that exact saddle actually, which I can show in a later video if people would want to see it. It's a fun one. But yeah, I literally have that first saddle, and then I remember my next saddles being a couple of the next ones, we went to an antique store and they actually had a couple of saddles there. Of course I had to badger mum, gotta get them. Never mind if you have any ponies or not, you have to get the saddles. So yeah, for me, saddles are huge, and I collect them, and I have a collection. One of the brands of saddles that I actually don't actually have one, I don't know if you find this good or not, but I don't actually have a Bates. Plenty of Wintex, even the Endurance Wintec. I believe I got a Western Endurance Wintec, as well as various ages of Wintex. I've got one of the original dressage Wintex that actually a friend gave to me. I still have it, so it's not been wasted at all. And I did actually use it on a horse at one point for my partner riding, because it was an 18-inch, and he benefits from a slightly bigger seat where possible. So yeah, I've got that, and then I've got an Isabel dressage, and then I've got various other GP Wintex, and even a tan jump Wintec, because you can't be without one of those in your collection. And so yeah, I don't actually have an actual Bates one. I always remember my main yard that I used to be on, that's sadly now been developed into houses, that there was a lady there, and she was like the only person on the yard that had a Bates. And I always remember it had the little silver stirrup leather keeper, and that's how you'd identify it, you know. And you just always felt like, oh, she was a bit more like special because she had the Bates. She wasn't like stuck up about it at all or anything. She was very nice, but you know, you always sort of like, oh, she's got the Bates, you know, because back then everybody just had whatever. Like they were just like the old leather saddles, or you know, a Maxam synthetic saddle or whatever, and no one had really morphed into having the sort of changeable gullet, fitted, all of that sort of stuff. People were just kind of, you know, you just had what you had. You had whatever came with the horse pony in those days. And so yeah, so she, you know, that was always a bit like, oh, you know, one day perhaps we'll get one of them because they're a bit special. And as I say, as time's gone on, obviously I have collected and used and been a part of many different saddles, but not actually had the privilege of owning an actual Bates leather saddle. So this is going to be my first one. I know all about them, luckily, and I'm luckily very au fait with all the gullet changing, and they have also pads that can adjust, because Bates are actually, they used to call it Care, and the Wintec had the Care, but they now call it Heart. So actually Bates saddles have the Heart panels, which means that they are air filled, and so they don't you don't flock it like a traditional saddle where you put wool flocking in and you adjust it with that. You don't with these. You adjust it with the pads, basically. They're like a shims basically, that you can adjust it if you need to, and then of course you can change the gullet as well. So yeah, I'm really excited. Let's get this box open. I've been told by the Bates rep or representative, or the guy from Bates anyway, lovely guy, that there might be some extra goodies in here, which is amazing, and I couldn't even believe, because I still am in shock that I've even won a saddle, let alone anything else in there as well. Admittedly, I did sort of say, like, if you happen to be putting a gullet in, could I just have a medium wide, please? But I thought, well, if they don't, it's no big deal, because typically when you buy a gulleted saddle with gullets that come in a, you know, removable, what I call a removable gullet saddle, they just come with medium as standard, and then you have to buy and swap whatever one you actually need if you don't need the medium. However, anyway, let's get this open and see where we're at. Just gonna grab something to open it with. Woo! Here we go, guys. First look. Whoa. Oh my days. This is insane. Super insane. Wow. Some foam. That's all I've won. Bit of foam. Can you imagine? Oh Lord. Holy mackerel. Right, are we ready to see it? First look. Be careful with it, because gosh, it's, you know, ready? You can see Bates. This is insane. All right, people, shall I? The cover's padded. Whoa! I'll just take the saddle cover even. Crikey! I didn't expect that. That is nice, very nice. You don't normally get a padded saddle cover. They're normally thin. Maybe you do with Bates, saying that, because I've not really had a Bates. I know my Wintec ones are thin. Let's put it that way. The ones that I normally buy for my saddles, they do a lovely one, a Rheingold. They're velvet, and they're lovely. They're not thick padded, but they're just so nice, and they go nice against any sort of leather saddles, or any saddles really. They don't, you know, abrase it or anything, but they're lovely. But anyway, this is of course it's Bates. It's going to be superior, isn't it? It's going to be padded. Or I mean, look, it's elasticated as well. Look at that. You can literally like adjust it and make it tighten. Here we go. Look, there's that signature. That's how we know we've moved up in the world. Crikey. Wow. Designed in Australia. Wow. This is insane. Oh my goodness me. Look at that. I mean, you can't feel through the TV or your phone, but bloody hell. I wish you could. It literally, the feeling is, well, there you go. It's just amazing. Of course, you got this side, they always put these little bit of logo stuff on there. Lux, look at that, Lux. Never mind the ordinary Bates, Lux. Now I'm going to show you something signature about the Apex. There's quite a few things actually, but the first bit I'm going to show you is underneath. You can have oh, I've got extra goodies. Oh my god. Right, well underneath it even says they've got it stitched in Apex. So if you're not sure what saddle you've got in a Bates, you can check where it says Apex and you know you've got the latest one. And also that what I was talking about with the heart, so that's inside the panels, that's what that refers to. These are Synergy panels, so I believe, don't quote me, that they are more advanced than your, say if you was to buy a much older Bates that had the care panels or the heart panels even, these are Synergy panels, so I think that they are even more advanced, but they're not flock, you know, they're not wool. And also you get the signature Bates nameplate. But anyway, I've got this with it, which is like, what is that? Oh wow. I'm not even sure what that even is, but let's have a look. Let me show you actually, before we look at that, some of the details about the Apex. As you can see, it's got a much forward, more forward flap than some jump saddles that are changeable gullet don't always have a hugely forward flap. The ones that do actually, one brand that does, and I'll give them a little mention because I've been banging on about Bates for ages, but Saddle Company, their actual saddles that when they make them, you can have them custom made even more forward, but they tend to be more forward, even in the GP. So yeah, if you happen to be looking for forward, they are not removable gullet though, they have to be changed on a machine, so different to the Bates. But anyway, just to mention, because some changeable gullet saddles are not, and just saddles in general that are made jump are not necessarily going to be your sort of European super forward. However, with Bates, that's what they've done on this one, is they've made it really for jumping. Now in the video, one of the videos, it actually talks about jumping 1.60 m with it. So I said to my partner, I was like, oh Lord, I have to get this saddle, I have to jump 1.60 m. So yeah, might either be borrowing him or borrowing his horse, if his horse will tolerate me for a minute. Or yeah, you know, you don't have to, obviously, you can just walk in it the whole time. You don't even have to leave the floor in this saddle, but it is designed a bit for jumping. I'll show you what you can feel here. I can hear it, I don't know if you can hear it, but they've got a new thing and it's called Flap Lock technology. It's exclusive to Bates, and what it does is, I don't know if you know, but when you jump, sometimes with some saddles especially, you're gonna get this movement of this flap. So if you're in a double flap, you can get this sort of bunching movement, and overall it can affect your performance, even if it's, especially if you're at the higher level. You know, imagine you're in jump off and you've got that bit of like, you know, and it just can affect it. So baits have figured out that's a problem, and they've gone, you know what, let's fix that. So they've got what they call flat block technology, which you can tell means, this is going to be a bit stiff because it's new, the flap is actually locked down. You've got Velcro here and a special cutout area to lock the flap down so that you don't get that bunching as you're going over a jump. So that's good, and that's in their latest thing with the Apex. So I've got also care instructions there, and then you've got your baits girth straps. Now with baits, same as with the Wintex and the older baits, you can change your girth straps easily. So these just come off and you can change them. And what they've done on this Apex, and as I say, I've not had a new baits lately, so don't quote me if it's on them as well, but they've made it thin with the metal here so that when you've got it, even though you're in a double flap, it doesn't give you that massive bulk under your leg that a lot of girth straps do have, especially with changeable gullet ones as well, because they normally do them with these changeable girth straps, and oftentimes the actual metal in the changeable part can be bulky, but they've made it thin so it's nice and easy to change. I've also got a removable block here in the rear and one at the front, which, if you know me, that's my absolute thing. God, if I see a saddle with removable block, I'm just like, I need to have it, because I just love that, even though 9 times out of 10 I don't take my block on or off. I think occasionally I have. I'm sure there was one instance where I did end up taking it off at one point, but generally I love removable block, and I love the feeling of being secured in with your blocks. It just makes me feel so secure. You know, you just think back in the day when we used to ride in saddles with nothing, you know, when the flaps were playing and they didn't have any blocks under here, nothing, you know, and you just think, God, how did we manage? Like, we were just must have been, you know, moving around all over the place, or either that or other people were just better and they didn't move because they're really good. I do have one saddle that's like that, where it's a show saddle and it literally has nothing, and so yeah, that's fun to ride in. Of course I don't do massive jumps in it or whatever, but anyway, this is so, how lush is this Baits Apex. You see it's got a square cantle there for jumping, and then you've got your removable gullet area, so you can, you know, pull that and obviously access your gullet and everything. Wow, it's insane. That's the underneath in case you want to have a look. And it's also got stamped, whoops, my glasses are falling off, they're broken, can you tell? Can you tell how I can't afford a Baits Apex normally? It's got Apex Luxe stamped so that you know. I'm just going to show you what this is. I'm sure it might be this extra bag on here. I think I know what it is now. I just got to try and get it off. It's very well attached, sort of. And then I'll get it off and I will explain it a little bit. I'm glad it's actually, if this is what I think it is, I'm glad, because I was kind of like thinking, what am I going to do about that side of things? I do happen to have some sat there which I do normally use for everything, which is great, but I'm not going to be able to get this off very easily. Right, here we go. So I've attached it like that. Look at this. Let's see. It's, I mean, a leather pouch. You know, yep, here you go. Look at that. Leather balm for the baits. And even a little booklet which tells you what to do in case you haven't cleaned saddles in a while and you need to learn. But also just saying congrats on your purchase. And you think, well, yeah, congrats on my win, because gosh, I couldn't have afforded this otherwise. I mean, it's insane. So yeah, I got leather balm there, which is great, because as I said, I wasn't quite sure. I was like, oh god, imagine if I use like something on it and it's no, like it like does something bad to it or whatever. But I do have my normal go-to is right here, happens to be, which is this, which is Azorbeam. and it's the Horseman's One Step, and honestly it's the best stuff. It's so great. You can literally plonk it on and then, you know, rub it in, wipe it off, job done. It is just, well, it's amazing. And yeah, it's absorbing, which is absolutely one of my brands that I've been using since I was little. It's a very popular brand in America. If you know me, you'll know that I spend a lot of time there on and off my whole life, and so whenever we would buy things for horses, often the Absorbine was a product that we would use. So yeah, very good product. If you don't happen to have a brand new Bates saddle with its own Bates leather cream, you can grab some of this. If not, and I'm sure Bates also must sell this separately, you must be able to get it through a fitter or stockist. So if you did have a Bates saddle, you're thinking, oh, I could use some of that actual Bates one, try a Bates fitter or Bates stockist, and they will be able to probably help you with that. But as I say, if not, or if you just want something to be able to buy off the shelf or on the internet, this is lovely, great stuff, and it's not expensive, and it lasts ages because you don't need loads of it. It's really, really good, but it's a cream, so it's very it's not hard like you get some stuff that comes out and it's hard, like the glycerin, but this is a cream. I'll show you, it's going to be dirty on the inside a bit, but it's a cream, so that does work too. But as I say, they've given me this one to go with my Bates, which is lovely. Absolutely insane. I'm going to put that down in there a minute. And as I say, I've got a nice booklet to go with it and tell me all about things. Now, this is the saddle cover that I was talking about. It's all, I mean, look at that, fleecy and elasticated. Like I said, I was not expecting that. And I do have something that I did buy for this. Once I figured out I'd won this, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to need something for it. And I did buy something, and Bates will kill me actually, probably, but I did buy a saddlebag for it because I was like, oh, I want a saddlebag because I've got one for my current saddle that I'm using on my horse. And I was like, well, I don't want to take that out of there. I want to leave that in there because I'm just going to keep that for a while, probably forever. You know me, collect saddles. But anyway, so I did buy an actual saddle bag for my Bates, but I couldn't find one that I liked that was Bates. They do one now, but it's quilted and it's black, and I like things a little bit fun, different. So yeah, I did buy a saddle bag. It doesn't happen to be a Bates one, it is another brand, but it is green, partly green anyway. And my horse has green things because he's actually from Ireland, all the way from Ireland, which is really cool because I'd never actually done that before either. I'd never actually purchased a horse from Ireland, and eventually got the opportunity to get another horse, and I was like, right, let's have a look. And my friend had let me know about somewhere that's good, where you can find a lot of good deals from private owners and things on there, and so that's what I did. Yeah, so yeah, he's Irish, so he wears a lot of green stuff. I just do it that way, because I thought, oh, if not, why not? And you know, it's cool for him. But anyway, just gonna have a look under here to have a look at some stuff. Wow, oh my gosh, wow, there's even a book for it. Confidential reference document. Wow. I don't know if they want this read out, probably not, maybe they do, I don't know. It tells you pretty much the stuff regarding oh, it tells you how to like sell it. I don't plan on selling it and fitting it. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so wow. Yeah, they probably don't necessarily want me to read all of this out. It's probably for fitters and whatnot. But anyway, it does just tell you about the different Bates saddles on the back. They've got the different ones, but also regarding the actual apex. It does come in black, as you can see up here. So if you can see that, hopefully. And so I did opt to get it in brown. They gave me a choice of what seat size and what colour. And my horse has been wearing brown now for ages. He was in black actually originally. Then I swapped into brown because I found a brown saddle that I liked. And my partner got it for me for my birthday. Very blessed. And so then I was like, right, well, he's in brown now. Should I get brown? Should I get black? And I really debated it on and off. And I was like, oh, and then even when I'd chosen the brown, I was like, oh, should I have the black? Because black is very striking in this saddle. It is just it's like boom. If you are literally looking to get a saddle that's for jumping and you want to literally go like bam, look at me, get the black. However, I went for the brown, and then I thought, you know, to be fair, really, my horse looks great in either, but I don't necessarily need to kind of look bam with him, because when I'm just, you know, shutting my eyes and praying over some jumps and whatnot, perhaps it's best if I don't look quite so woohoo. So yeah, that's why I thought actually maybe the brown is better for me, because, you know, I don't happen to be sort of jumping the way that my neighbour might happen to be doing. If you know, you know. So, what else? Oh wow. Amazing. So, as I said earlier, I had asked, you know, perhaps if there was a choice of gullet, could I potentially get the medium wide? Well, they haven't just sent me a medium wide gullet, they sent me the whole bloody kit. Whoa, oh my gosh. So that's literally all of them, plus your bolts and screws and whatever you want to call them. So that's insane. These gullets go for Bates saddles, but also Wintec saddles, and also the Arena by Bates saddles. So if you've got either of those and you're looking to change the gullet, you can use one of these from the Easy Change gullet system, and Bob's your uncle. What I find is that even the older Easy Change gullets still fit, whether you have a slightly older, you know, Wintec or a slightly newer Wintec. They tend to fit whether they're you've just bought it yesterday, the gullet, or you've had it for a little while. So yeah, I tend to find that. But anyway, that's amazing. So that if my horse did happen to not be the medium wide or be whatever, then I can do it. And yeah, really great. And especially if I did end up using it on a different horse at any point, there you go, bosh, sorted. That's just, like I say, I wasn't expecting it. Amazing. Now the next bit that I wasn't expecting at all is even more incredible than a gullet set. Bates have sent me, because when you actually win the competition, it says, oh, you know, it doesn't include any mounts or, you know, different bits. And what they mean by that is like, doesn't include a girth, doesn't include stirrup leathers, doesn't, you know, the different stuff. Well, Bates have only gone and sent me some stirrup leathers to match. Incredible. I mean, they literally are the matching ones to go with it. Classic brown, perfect, amazing. Can't believe it. I mean, I'm very blessed already, because I do happen to have some Henry James stirrup leathers, which I absolutely think are amazing. I always buy them in the sale though, because I can't afford them full price. But whenever they have a massive discount sale, or like seconds where they might be a bit off colour, or a bit, you know, the hole wasn't stamped exactly in the right place or something, I tend to get them then. But so yeah, I do have a pair of the Henry James that I'm very blessed to have, but they aren't the exact match for this saddle. Henry James brown is going to be obviously a slightly different brown to the Bates brown, the same as, you know, with natural leathers and all of that, you're going to get that variation. You often can. So it's good to, if you can check in person when you're buying accessories and different things, have a comparison. Or even what I do, it's not as accurate obviously, but I will get a photo of what I'm looking to buy plus a photo of what I've already got, and I'll make what you call a collage. You can do it on Google Photos, and you can just put it side by side, or I put it top to bottom, either way. And you can then compare it that way, and that's what I tend to do if I'm not sure, because oftentimes it's not easy to, if you're buying online, especially if there's a deal, it's not as easy then if you can just walk in a store and take your whole saddle with you, or your whole bridle, or your whatever, whereas where you can just quickly reference it and say it's not as accurate, but it helps, definitely. I mean, you definitely see a massive difference if you're like, whoa, that's oak brown and that's Havana brown. You definitely see it on there. But this is insane. This has got luxe leather as well, because they do a few different ones of these stirrup leathers, But yeah, amazing. And it's got, of course, the signature. These are signature baits when you can tell with the metal and the obviously the baits logo, but they're the ones that tend to do it with this kind of thing like that. Like I say, same as their saddle where it's got the little metal on the stirrup keeper. It's kind of like you spot it from a mile away, or if you're me anyway and you're into saddles that much, you know, some people would go, well, I didn't even notice the horse, let alone the saddle they had on. But I do that at shows. I don't know if other people are addicted to saddles like me and they tend to do that, but I tend to like, oh, what saddle they got? What horse they got? What saddle is it? And yeah, I tend to be kind of nosy. And the other thing I'm nosy about as well is people when they've got their bridles on, and if they haven't got their keepers done up, and I must admit I tend to go over and kind of like either like sort of usher to them like, I'm just gonna put your keeper up if you don't mind, because yeah, it bugs me really bad. I don't know, it just bugs me to hell. Like you know, even if I'm on my horse and I notice it's not quite right, even if it means getting off and fixing it and getting back on, I'd rather do that than ride around like it. Especially when your bridle bit, when the leather pokes out sometimes, when it makes a bump, and I think, oh, the horse must catch that in the back view of their eye. I must think, oh, you know, and I just think, oh, you know, if you fell off, you know, God forbid, you wouldn't want that to have been the issue, would you? So I like tuck it down like, oh, there you go, that's one less reason to fall off. That's what I do. But this is amazing. I just cannot believe it. Should we get one last look at it before I stop? Most amazing baits, Apex. It's just incredible. Here we go, ready? Look at that. Lux leather, flat block technology, all the gubbins. As I say, it's a jump saddle. Whether I'll jump any better or bigger in it, who knows? Remains to be seen. Perhaps I'll do a video if I ever jump kind of big in it. But yeah, we should see. I mean, my horse, he looks after me, poor geezer, but you know, he's not a super duper top level jump horse. I did have one actually. I had a really quite, you know, decent jump horse, but unfortunately he and I just couldn't get on the way I'd like us to have done, and so I actually sold him, and that's how I then got my horse from Ireland, because I'd always wanted to get a horse from Ireland, you know, kind of a Connemara sort of thing. And I'd just seen so many of them where every Connie that I'd met or ridden or heard about or seen just seemed to be so great, and so, you know, easily trained and just do the things that people wanted them to do basically. And so yeah, I just kind of got it in my head like, beeline, let's try and get one. And prior to getting my jump horse, I thought, oh, I'll get a Connemara, but at the time there weren't so many around, and I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with going to Ireland or getting horses from Ireland and all of that. So, you know, I kind of just ended up finding him locally, but ultimately he just didn't quite suit me. Even though, you know, as a horse he was amazing, but just for me, it just was just not quite the right thing for me. And so I ended up selling him to a lovely lady who had previously had show jumpers before, and just wanted one that she could live at, you know, do her last days of riding with. And so that's what happened. But you know, I then ended up getting, say, this guy from Ireland, and although he's not like, you know, a super, you know, bred in the whatever you call it, I don't know what they call it these days, bred in the pink, is it, for show jumpers or whatever they call it. Anyways, he's not all of that. He's just a lovely Irish horse that just, you know, does what I want him to do. And if I want him to poodle around, he'll poodle around. If I want to step it up a gear, he'll step it up a gear. And he's just my you know, one of my best boys. And he just does what I would like him to do most of the time. And so, you know, that's, for me, that's what I was looking for. And I was very lucky, because you can really come unstuck when you're buying unseen from abroad, especially. You can come out unstuck whatever, but you certainly can if you're going from abroad. And I was extremely blessed in that he was exactly everything that I thought he was. From I'd had videos and information and all of that, pictures, and I'd spoken to the owner and everything, and then everything that I thought he exactly was exactly what turned up. He turned up in, I used a transport company that were amazing. Shout out to Mullins if you ever need any Irish horse transport, because they were absolutely just tip top bar none. The horse literally turned up looking exactly, the woman had, the owner had taken a photo of him when he was ready to leave, and he turned up exactly looking exact same. Absolutely perfect weight, perfect everything, was just how he was meant to turn up is how he turned up basically. His weight wasn't actually perfect because he was overweight, but I knew that when I got him. She had told me, you know, he's been eating a bunch of grass, he is overweight, so that was fine. But yeah, he turned up exactly perfect, and he'd been well looked after. He was probably the most you know, budgety one on the lorry, because they transport obviously their own racehorses a lot, and that's what they'd been doing. They'd had loads of them on, and poor geezer had to be moved each time, and he'd ended up at the back. So, you know, as they got in the other ones off and everything, then they were like, he was at the back, so they had to like open a million gates to get him off, you know, because this lorry's huge. But yeah, I rode him all by myself. The first time I ever rode him was completely on my own, and you know, he didn't put a foot wrong, and yeah, he's not for everyone. He doesn't like every rider. He literally doesn't, and he's very selective in that if he likes you, he'll let you ride him. If he doesn't like you, he will just chuck you on the floor. But luckily he likes me, so yeah, I'm very excited. And as I got this saddle, we're gonna just be so blessed to have it. Thank you so much, Bates. Thank you so much to British Eventing. This is going to be amazing, and what I'll do is once I've got it fitted on him, and then you know, I'll bath my horse first, I think. He's a bit mad, but I will then do another video where you can actually see it in action. Maybe not me doing a metre 60, we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much, and see you next time.